excited about what we have in store for you today, so let's go ahead and kick things off and get started. All right, well, welcome to Life's a Story podcast. I'm your host, Greg Steinke, and my wife,
Dina.
Andy.
Stephanie.
Hey, sorry, my bad.
where real life
Meets the mic.
y'all thought I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
I thought you did.
I'm coming with it.
A little rusty.
Yeah, it's been a week. We only meet once a week.
It's been a week.
It has been a week. It has been a very
It's
difficult
snowing.
week, and it's snowing
Under
outside.
a winter storm warning.
What are you
as
guys
of
going
right
to do
now.
if we get stuck here?
We
Have
it-
coffee in the morning.
There you go.
The coffee is tasting good tonight.
You like it?
I do like
It's
it.
Folgers.
Aunt Dana, do you like it?
It's Andy. It tastes like
Sore
cherries or
subject.
something, but I'm
It's
drinking
good.
it. I appreciate you,
You know it-
showing your love by making coffee.
Oh,
that's
and
fitting for the topic
That
of the
is.
evening.
That is.
Actually,
We're going to
it-
get into that in a
It
minute.
does taste like cherries, real quick. Why is that?
It's
It's probably because I said that. I think.
Now you're thinking that.
Now
But
see,
it's
you
good.
Now
got
you're
that.
like subconsciously
Yeah.
tasting the cherry.
Now she's going to taste with vanilla, of course.
I mean, I want to believe that you didn't put anything else in there, but Folgers.
Y'all,
I taste the cherry. I can smell the cherry.
no, it's Folgers.
I don't know.
It's all Folgers.
Not in my cup.
Oh wow.
Otherwise,
Okay, well, did we have a chance to tell everybody about the going off refined sugar for 8 weeks?
no, because it did not get recorded.
Okay. So, as a couple, we were going to go off of refined sugar for 8 weeks. Somebody did not make it a day, but it's okay. You know, just
It's okay.
It's
You'll-
okay, honey. You did well.
No. So, anyways, we're gonna try to stay off refined sugar for 8 weeks and just see if that makes us feel better, think better, rest better, all those.
What day are you on so far?
Day 6.
How much better do you already feel?
I feel really good. I mean, lost a pound.
I'm going to send you a whole podcast
Yeah.
to listen to about how sugar affects your overall life.
Oh, I would love that.
So it doesn't make you sweeter.
Steph, do you have a podcast
I don't think we
about
could get any sweeter.
Do you have a
I'm
podcast about Girl Scout cookie diet? That's our next 8 weeks.
Yeah, you guys quit the sugar.
Refraining from Girl Scout cookies.
We'll eat it all for you.
Yes.
Well,
That'd be all
and
right.
the podcast that just went out today, we talked about my mom having dementia, and sugar is not good for your brain and for people that have dementia. So, it's fitting that I just want to,
It has a lot of lasting effects on you that people don't realize.
yeah.
That
So,
We
does.
probably all should cut back a little bit.
and
What-
I don't think,
But
and I'm not.
will we?
But what
Yeah.
about honey?
Like natural honey?
Yeah, like natural honey.
I always
But
wanted
I
to
think
grow
that's like
honey.
natural sugar. I
Right.
think there's a difference between natural sugar
And unnatural sugar?
and unnatural
And
sugar.
refined
Of course, yes.
Refined sugar.
Well, speaking of
Like the kind that's in Coke.
Speaking of insects, real
candy.
quick, like bees, this is going to sound crazy. I read this story today, and I saved it. So, Joanne Murray parachute failed, and she plunged 14,500 feet to the ground at 80 miles per hour, landing on a fire ant mound. She was stung over 200 times, but the fire ants have some type of venom. I do not know how to pronounce it. Stephanie, do you know how to pronounce that?
Poison?
Yes.
Solanopsin?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But the ant, the stung Joanne, releasing the venom, which stimulated her nervous system and kept her heart beating, and she survived the fall.
Really?
Yeah,
What?
14,500 feet.
She broke
I mean,
every
that's
bone
when
in
you
her
know
body,
you're
though, didn't
just destined to be alive.
Yeah.
Like that just wasn't your time to go.
No, but that just amazed me by an ant sting. Well, 200 times could affect your nervous system and not keep your heart beating.
Yeah. That's
Well, if you're going to
crazy.
fall from a pretty good height, make sure you fall on a fire ant.
Yeah, that's what I learned. I thought it was trees you wanted to fall on.
So I'm trying to stay off refined sugar. I'll let everybody know when we get back together every week how things are going. And if there's some weight loss, great. But my motivation is really just better health. just to feel better
Better mental
and have
clarity.
a discipline in my life. And so yeah, that's why I'm doing that.
It's all about making small changes.
Yeah.
Small changes
little
do
bits at
make
a
big
time.
effects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't realize, like, they keep a candy jar at work, and you don't realize how often you just grab a piece of candy.
Yeah.
I
Grab
miss a
piece of
candy jar.
Yeah.
See, I am not I am not for sweets. I can live without them. Honestly, I can live without them. It's just that the bowl of gummy whales
In your office.
Was just
in
right
my
there.
office.
Yeah.
So I had 2 of them.
Now, I used to be a big fan of Reese cups, but lately, now that I've been having them sometimes, I don't like them as much anymore.
Yeah.
So I need a new favorite candy.
There you
Hmm.
go.
Well, I've heard gummy whales are good.
Gummy whales are really good. Come to my
I
office.
actually
Yeah.
like
Try 'em
gummy
out.
stuff.
I do
That's-
too.
That's my go-to.
Yeah.
Gummies.
Gummy bears, gummy worms.
And my boss brought in Timbits today. So, you know, just
See, and you can eat like 20 of those.
I know. So
in one
I had
sitting.
none. I'm very proud of myself. So we'll see.
Congratulations,
See how things
honey.
go next week.
You have
Thank
a
you.
question.
Oh yeah. So a shout out to Zach and Tori Roloff for this one. I
Good friends of ours.
yeah. So I listened to their podcast. In this particular podcast, it was only their second one. They just started a new podcast, but this one focused on Zach's health, and he has a shunt
Oh,
in
okay.
in his head,
Like in his brain.
in brain area.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, part of their podcast was what was the peak of your week and what was the pit of your week. So I think we'll throw that in there and see anybody has a. We'll start with pit, and then we'll end up on the peak.
Yeah.
So anybody have a pit?
Like you went the
this
bad
week?
news first.
Yeah, like anything just
Mm,
didn't go so great this week.
I don't have anything.
just work
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, really just work.
I think it's just a little bit depressing anymore.
Yeah.
So
Wednesday and Thursday were
I kind of live
rough.
on the plain area. Like I'm just flat.
Mm.
No highs, no lows.
Do you need to go 14,500 feet in the air? And
I don't know.
land on
Fall?
If there's an ant, if
An
there's
ant
a
farm?
fire ant farm, fire ant farm underneath me.
So nobody has.
I feel like there's a good balance though of pits and peaks throughout the week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, every day, I think.
That we're all just kind of skimming the surface.
Well,
I don't have any.
I don't have a. Just Wednesday and Thursday were just dragging at
Just
work.
long
Oh
days.
my goodness, it
Yeah.
was just so slow. I don't know what the deal was, but
We had some
if
real
that's as bad as
crazies
my
to deal
week goes, that's okay.
Well, Steph and I have been, so we knew these next 5 to 6, 7 weeks, whatever it is, was going to be really long because of Girl Scouts and just being busy every weekend, that we set little goals. So we have a couple trips coming up that when we lose focus or start to get a little stressed or whatever about, are we going to make it, or
Mm-hmm.
how long is this going to be, or seriously, we got to make it through this day. Now we can sit there and think about, like, we're going to go to Gatlinburg.
So change your focus.
Yeah. So that's kind of helped
We're
a
gonna take
lot.
the kids on a little trip. Do a
Yeah.
little hiking.
Yes.
Now it was Valentine's
outside.
Day this week, so everybody should have a peak to mention. I know I have a peak.
Did we do anything for Valentine's Day?
What are you looking at me for?
Or the day after, because Valentine's Day was on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So that's kind of lousy.
Yeah.
We went to
We didn't do
the
anything.
Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, can we give a shout out to where we went and local?
Yeah.
El Sombrero.
Was
back-
that good?
They're
Or-
back
back in
open?
business?
Yes, they're
Yes,
open.
yes.
Okay.
And if you wanted the English version, the hat.
Oh, there you go.
El sombrero, the hat.
So it
That's
was
what it
good.
is.
It was good to see the business. I think they had like a kitchen fire or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was good to see that hometown business was
And their
open.
owner, or their previous owner, sadly passed away.
Yeah,
He
so-
did so much for the community.
Yeah, so it
Great
was
guy.
really good. Portion size was good.
Yeah.
Prices
Really good.
were up, but that's like everywhere else.
Right.
Well, because their insurance probably went up.
Yeah.
True.
And then the Hubs got me my favorite perfume.
That I did.
Nice.
Aw.
It's Candy by Prada.
I-
It's delish.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hmm.
Steph got a couple candles.
I did get some candles.
Hey.
And honestly, that's
Nothing wrong
I
with
don't want
that.
to say that's what I asked for, as if it's like a Christmas list, because this isn't Christmas. But he had said, like, the girls really want to get you something for Valentine's Day. What would you like? And I'm like, I need more candles.
And a gift card.
And a gift card.
Nice.
That's all right.
So, and I am not one for material things necessarily, but if you're going to get me something I can use.
Yeah,
Something
same.
that I want.
The perfume.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
it's a little
The
pricey.
gift card's good.
So that's why,
Yeah.
if I can get it as a gift once a year,
Well, the last time I got it for her was about 6 years ago.
at least.
And
I
you
mean-
still have some?
No, I've been
Oh.
out for a very long time.
For 5 years.
What did you do last
I had to-
Valentine's Day?
I had to
And
save
the one
up to
before
get it.
that?
I had to
Save it up.
And what'd you get, Greg?
I got a card
A card. And
and my cologne.
your signature cologne.
Nice. What do you use?
Well, this is his everyday cologne.
My everyday Stetson.
Stetson.
Oh, okay.
I like it.
But she likes the obsession for men.
No, I don't.
Millionaire.
Andy doesn't really wear
No.
cologne.
No.
Millionaire.
Cool water.
Cool water.
Yeah,
Cool water
Steph's
is
lucky if I
really
wear
good.
deodorant.
I'm not a cologne guy. What's
I
that?
said Steph's lucky if I wear deodorant.
I love
I'm
cologne.
just kidding.
You
Just
wear
kidding.
deodorant.
Did you
every
hear
day.
that?
What's that?
I love to smell cologne on a man.
I do too.
I'll remember that next. Uncle Greg.
Well,
Okay,
this is
so-
February month.
Okay, so hey, I'm not quite done. I have one other thing to mention.
Okay.
Or do you want me to mention saving it for the next episode?
Why don't you save for the next one?
You're cut off.
I'll save it.
You're not cut off. We wanna save more for next time.
Dina's ready.
So here's of course the podcast is about love, and this is the love month, and so we're going to talk and just a little bit or discuss a little bit concerning love. And Stephanie named this podcast "Love." Go ahead.
Love is a verb.
Love is a verb. Explain that to me.
Well, I don't, it kind of stems off of a very extensive conversation that Andy and I had recently in the car, because we, in the evening, sometimes just escape from our children when they're in bed. And,
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
we just need to have, like, serious conversation. Our car is, like, the escape for us, so we can leave the front door open if anybody comes out or anything, but we know, like, nobody's coming in the room, nobody's hearing what we're saying or any of that kind of stuff, because their little ears don't need to hear some of that. So, but we were talking a lot about basically just love and how it's a feeling. And when we had spoken with you guys a while ago, we were having some trouble in that area. And I think it was said at one point in time that, love is not a feeling, love is action.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I think we probably both kind of pushed that away a little bit, because when you're in a certain mindset, you don't want to hear it.
Right.
But the more that we thought about it, I mean, love is not just a feeling, not to say that it can't be a feeling. But we wanted to talk tonight a little bit more about how love is action. There can't be love without action behind it.
Right. Right. It's
So.
the proof of your love.
Yeah.
And it is that's that motivation feeling, and it is a feeling. You can't deny it's not a feeling. And I know you're not denying that, but it goes way beyond that. And when you even don't feel like loving somebody, there's that push to love them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, you can have a spouse, if we want to keep it in that realm, or your significant other, before you go off for the day, I love you, but when they come home from work, they're critical, they're not engaging, they don't help with anything, or, whatever the list is. Not mine. My man's a good helper, and is
Yep.
great about that
A
kind
plus
of stuff.
rating.
But
A
I'm
plus.
just, you're saying the words, I love you, but if you don't follow up and have some action behind that, really they mean nothing.
Correct.
Words
Correct.
don't,
well,
actions
what they
speak
always
louder
say,
than words.
just don't tell me, show me.
Absolutely.
And you heard the expression, "I love you to the moon and back," right?
Yes.
You don't know where that come from?
Nope.
Where? You're going to tell us.
I'm going
Yep.
to tell you.
We're ready.
I'm going to tell you. I had to look it up because I thought it was like from, Jackie Gleason or something. But he's the one that said, one of these days, Alice, one of these days,
Right.
You
Gonna
know,
send you to the moon
he's
or
gonna
something
send me,
like.
yeah, send us to the moon, and but love, this quote, "I love you to the moon and back," comes from a book about a father rabbit and a little hare, little rabbit. You ever know that?
No, this sounds very
Yeah,
interesting.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Everyone curl up, grab your favorite drink.
And sit back and here, let me tell
We're
you a
gonna
story
listen.
about Father Rabbit and Little Hare. And they were having a conversation to one another and how much they loved one another. And the little hare just wanted to prove how much he loved his dad, so he put out his hands. And then his dad put out his hands. Of course, they're longer, they're bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And said, then the little rabbit said, "Daddy, I love you to the moon." And then Dad said, "I love you to the moon and back." And that's where that come from, believe it or not.
Never knew that.
Yeah. It was
Interesting.
Interesting.
yes.
It's a good little tidbit.
So, anyways, how do you guys would express love to each other? Like, what, as a woman, I'm assuming that we would say the actions that show love to us are going to be different than the guys.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the one thing too. I mean, you think, acts of service is an entire love language that people base their relationships off of. And however it is that you feel loved, whether that is acts of service or gifts or words of affirmation or what are the others? I don't know. I don't have them memorized, but there's several. But we've talked about that too, pretty in depth on how you can say, "I love you." And I feel like at one point in time, like Andy and I would always kind of go back and forth about how he would always say that he loved me, and I never said it back in a way that made him feel like I loved him. And maybe because our love languages were just a little bit different, and we've kind of evolved with all of that, and kind of, I don't want to say gotten to know each other
You've
a little
grown.
bit more, but we've grown a lot in the last 6 months to a year. And, but he always talked about how he would always say that he loved me, and I just would say, "Love you too." And it was never, a big thing for me. But when the four of us had kind of talked about it, that I had said that, love to me specifically is not just you saying you love me. Like all the actions that I'm seeing from you day to day, over and over again, that's love to me.
Right.
So when you say you love me, I'll say I love you too, but I don't feel like you actually love me because you're not showing me that you do.
Right.
So I think that's something that we've worked on.
And that's the woman's point of view.
That's
of that.
I
the
think
woman's
many.
point of view. And
Yes.
I think, I would say a majority of women are probably like that. And there are women who obviously like material things more or gift giving, but you can't tell me from a woman's standpoint that just hearing somebody say that they love you but never having any action behind that love, that they feel like that's real love.
Right. And I would say, I think another part of that would be, I know I've used this terminology before in our marriage. I just want you to know me. And so I think for me, showing love is knowing who I am, knowing about me and how I click, if I'm having a bad day or, I'm going through this struggle, this phase of life, and women go through all different phases of life, and there's hormones and physical changes that affect our personalities, but that he would know me and, say, hey, I don't understand what you're going through, but I'm here for you and supportive. So, for me, I think that's another type of showing without necessarily an action. But it is showing that you love me by your words, you know. Does that make
But
sense?
there's like intention behind it.
Yes.
Still.
Yes, because I think for a spouse to take the time to really know the other, and I'm probably, I'm sure, not probably, just as guilty of that, like really taking the time to really know each other
Yeah.
is a love language, to me.
Yeah, as for the husband, like, I was really bad at showing. I learned what Cascade, Finish, and Dawn were.
Just recently.
Congratulations.
I put those little pods in the dishwasher, I think it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But
No.
it is. But honestly, it's
Loading the dishwasher is also a love language.
Yeah, I'm telling
do
you.
it.
You guys
He does.
argue about how the dishes get loaded
No.
ever?
I'm just glad that he does it.
I was gonna
don't
say, I
care
don't
how
think-
they get in there.
We've
Okay.
argued over that.
No, we don't argue about it.
I think you're
But
just proud I
There
do
are
it.
those that probably do.
I'm very
Yeah.
proud of you. But
As long as the
I
door
feel like-
closes, I think I'm doing good.
That's
You
what
know?
I see.
Yeah.
But I always feel like I have to put things in a manner that makes it easier to put away
right.
once they're clean. So I
Oh, yeah,
organize them nicely.
Right.
I have OCD, so everything's got to be right.
Whereas
Oh,
like Andy just kind of like
If there's room for 20, I'm getting 25
tosses
in.
it in there.
That's right. That's right. But from a woman's perspective, if you're working all day, Stephanie works full time. We all in here work full time. But for a husband, and I'm not saying my husband because he's the man. Like, he likes to clean, he vacuums, he loads the dishwasher, he'll cook. So I have no complaints in that area
I
whatsoever.
put on my apron every day.
But
I've learned to be more supportive, too,
Yes.
as an action. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
you've relieved her of a burden that she doesn't have to deal with later in the day.
Yeah.
like, when we went through our little spell, I found myself trying to do everything. And then it became almost like a competition in my head when it didn't need to be.
Right.
But then, like, once it kind of slowed down and I got in a rhythm, I started to realize, like, I don't need to do everything. But I also started to realize the girls, they love me and I love them, but there's just that special bond with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like as the time went by, one of the most important jobs Steph had was to cuddle with our girls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they love that. So I was able to give her that couple, even if it was just 15 to 20 minutes, just to sit there and lay with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's opened them up so much more.
Right.
And then
So it goes beyond just like, hey, thanks for
Ye-
helping me with
exactly.
the dishes. It's like you said, showing support and
yeah.
saying like, I care about your feelings beyond.
And you
The
can't
housework.
you can't just categorize
Right.
things in your
Yeah.
life. This
Yeah.
is it. This is and this isn't. This is. This isn't. And then you think you got it covered because as you go through life, your life changes.
Mhm.
Your marriage changes. Your home changes. You have kids at one time. Then you don't have any. So in that aspect, love or the distribution of your love can change dramatically.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And take a liking into their hobbies or their passions. Like, for Stephanie recently is Girl Scouts. She's the Girl Scout cookie manager. And I feel like it's my job if I need to help with whatever, or I know she's got to go to a lot of booths, so
And
I
he's
get-
going to dress up in a giant blow up axolotl costume for me.
Right.
we'll post
That's
pictures
love.
on the website.
That is love, honestly. He could have just sat back and say, "Hey, I didn't sign up for
He
that."
looked
Yeah.
good.
That's
Yeah.
your job. So that is
Yeah.
showing act of love.
And to be honest, coming from someone who never took the time to, like, show support, because I used to cry about Girl Scouts, like, oh my gosh, another event. Now it's like, well, this is exciting. What can I do to help?
Right.
So I think once you find that time or that different mindset, it's really enjoyable. It's a lot of fun, to be honest.
Well, and you said it.
Yeah.
You got involved in her hobby or whatever she's doing, and so now you're excited about it. But you
Yeah.
purposely got interested in what she was doing.
Right. I learned how to cut fabric. That was, fun stuff. And then I've come to find out, if you're here in Troy, the Makers Lab, look it up.
Well, as that's at the library, right?
Well, it's in like the government center by the library.
Is that the Hobart building?
Yes.
Okay, the Hobart building.
Yeah.
But, I mean, honestly, you
But
can
we're
do.
obsessed.
Yeah, you can do any type of projects in there you want. Like, what are
Really?
some of the projects you just got done doing this
I
past
mean,
week?
we made banners and signs, printed like a large vinyl banner and stuff.
Oh, nice.
And it was like half the price of what you'd pay doing it online.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll
You
have to
just
check
go
it
in
out.
there, you upload your file, print it out, put the grommets in.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
might
they have a
to do that.
3D machine
Yeah.
there, a copy maker or logo maker, I should say, for like coffee mugs.
Yeah. You can do
Um,
buttons, you can
but-
do engraving, you can do all kinds of
We
fun
need to
We'll
stuff.
have
go
to
over
check
there.
that out.
Look
It
at this.
is
Maker
fun.
Lab's getting their own commercial.
Yeah,
on the
there you
podcast.
go. Something else I was thinking about, like today, Greg actually did it, but kind of like along what Andy was saying, like being invested in your spouse. When Greg was at the store today, he called me up, and I think you called me twice. I couldn't pick up the first time, and I said, "I'm right in the middle of something. What do you need?" And he's like, "Well, this is time sensitive. I'm at the store. Is there anything that you need or want?" I thought, that's so nice because you thought about me, and
Yeah.
and I wouldn't have had to run to the store. Who wants to run to the store after work?
Right.
Not
Nobody.
a soul. So that was
That was an act of love.
that was an act
love
of
was a
love.
verb.
What did you really want from the store, though?
Well,
We got snacks. No, really,
I'm just
that
kidding.
that
No,
is
no.
that really did mean a lot to me.
but
Okay.
I know you got a verse that you want to read, but outside of other synonymous words, love is found 311 times in the Bible,
Wow.
and that doesn't include any time it talks about charity or, which is another word for love. But love is the greatest motivation. It is the greatest motivation in man.
Mm.
The fascinating thing was the second greatest motivation was anger.
Mm.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And but love is that word that is action. We read that many times in the Bible, and that the Lord loved us and sent His Son that we might have everlasting life. But what do you have there?
Yes. Well, like you say, you can't really speak on love without mentioning what the Bible has to say about it. So in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4, it says, "Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful." That we could talk about.
Yeah.
It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. And
There you
that's
have
the
it.
ESV version, in case anybody was wondering.
It is. Because the whole concept, I don't care if you have a King James Version, ESV, ASV, doesn't matter. The concept of it is that life in its fullest develops from love. And it is that love that overcomes, the love that conquers, the love that helps you through, especially as a married couple. And there's that love that soothes the pain and comforts those that are lonely. And love is not just to be displayed on February the 14th, or if you're like me, that didn't have good enough planning, February the 16th. I had to order her Prada candy.
Yeah. that's
However, here's the good thing, though. I did go to several different stores, and they did not have it. It's a popular item.
What is it now?
Prada candy.
Product.
It's a perfume.
Oh, that's the
it's
perfume.
Candy by Prada.
Oh, I was trying to think of. I haven't heard this candy before.
She really likes Prada candy.
Is that at Winans?
Where can I get that from? But yeah, February is not just a month to show your love. It's all year round. And your home, honestly, your home ought to be the place where that love is shown and proven. Whether you're just husband and wife, or whether you have friends here and there.
Yeah.
But love ought to be the place where you can come, or the home ought to be a place where you can come and just feel that love.
Well, and even like in this list of spouses, it's so easily you can fall into some of these things. Love is not rude. It's not arrogant. It's not bringing up the other person's wrongdoing. I mean, just some of those things that we can easily do to our spouses. And so just to be mindful of showing love
Well,
and
that's
respecting.
what I've got, like a little thing here just on that on love being a choice, and one that you have to make day after day after day,
Yeah.
Multiple times.
multiple times a day.
Yep.
So, but this says, how can we speak each other's love language when we are full of hurt, anger, and resentment over past failures? The answer to that question lies in the essential nature of our humanity. We're creatures of choice. That means we have the capacity to make poor choices, which all of us have done. We've spoken critical words and have done hurtful things. We're not proud of those choices. Poor choices in the past don't mean that we must make them in the future. Instead, we say, sorry, I know I've hurt you, and I would like to make the future different. And then you make the choice to leave the past in the past and make the future different.
And that's part of love.
Yeah.
And love doesn't come naturally.
No.
A lot of other emotions do. Anger comes naturally.
Yeah.
Love does not come naturally. That's why you find many times in the Bible where it says love. It's a command, even to love God, or to love your brothers, or to love your neighbor as yourself. It is work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I said that before, but it is. It's a daily awareness and being conscious, having some conscience in you, but being conscious of your spouse or your children to display that love that they need, and that will help them get through that day as well.
Yeah, and I've seen it in my own life. If you're going in marriage, we're married 35 years, almost 36, and just the phases that you go through in a marriage. And, when might go through a difficult time and you don't really feeling love towards your spouse, you can pray and ask God, help me to love this person. Show me how to love this person. And I have seen God do that in myself, and throughout our marriage. So.
And that was early, one of the first times, very early in our marriage.
Yeah.
Where she shared with me that she had to actually pray. And we were married a few years maybe.
Yeah, maybe 5 or so.
And she had to really, make that an action in her own life to love me, because I wasn't that lovable. And especially in our earlier years of our marriage. And, when you do make that choice, and, you've got, and certainly the Lord was in this as well, you can see some just powerful, powerful things take place that you didn't think would ever happen. But when you put that love, as Stephanie said, as a verb and not just words, to make it a routine habit of just saying, I love you. I think we do that so mishappily, to where love you, and we say it to about anybody, and but that's not love.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a word, and love does have to have that progression of action behind it to prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to put some purpose behind it.
Absolutely.
You have to be intentional when it comes to loving those that you have around you.
Well, that can be a very deep subject as well, and I hope that this is just a help to you.
Encouragement, a little entertaining,
Love one another.
maybe a challenge.
Well, I think anyone can look up all of this on the internet, but coming from us, I think with examples really helps in hearing it.
Yeah,
Also.
Yeah.
Yeah,
real
I mean-
life examples.
Exactly.
We've all been through periods where there was not love. I
Right.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of marriages go through those. We talk about pits and peaks. Probably the pits where they just didn't feel like they could love one another anymore, or I cannot love you the way you are. And the greatest thing to do is to now make yourself and initiate yourself to put that into action, as hard as it might be. But when you do that and you start to love that other person, as difficult as it is, they will respond in a positive way also.
Yeah. And when you're in a quote unquote pit in your marriage, you don't just give up. You seek some help, get some ideas of what you can do to help your marriage, so you don't stay in the pit.
Well, just don't give up either. I mean,
just don't give up.
If you don't get the answer you're wanting because you did one thing, don't sit there, I quit.
Right.
Like, keep striving, keep going, and then because you'll slowly see the changes come.
That's right.
And those are called small victories. Those are big.
Yeah.
Those are bigger than you think
those
they
are
are.
encouragement to those that are going through a hard, difficult time.
Oh, yes.
And as much as we talk too about love as a verb, when you're talking about love between two people, I also don't think that a lot of times we focus enough on your ability to show actionable love to other people in your life is a lot of times dependent on how much you love yourself. So love is action within yourself too. It's not, when you're hurting and you're, just not in a good place in your life. And Andy and I have both experienced this personally. When you're not happy with yourself, when you're not in a good place, you can't give that love to other people around you genuinely.
Right. When your cup is empty, you can't pour it into somebody else when you're depleted yourself.
Yeah. So love is action, within yourself too. Yeah. It's not just about giving to other people.
That's true.
And I would say that's not like, how do I want to say this? Like, in our society, like, you need to love yourself first, and you need to make yourself a priority first. And there's a little bit of truth to that, but the Bible talks about us loving others, and I do believe, though, it's taking care of yourself physically,
Absolutely.
taking care of yourself mentally, spiritually, and then you are able to pour into other people.
Well, here's the thing, when you brought up the Bible does say to love your neighbor as yourself. There's nobody that, unless you're in that depressed state where you yourself are at rock bottom. But there is a right place where I am, and he's basically saying you take care of your own self. You enjoy meeting your needs. So now you extend that to those around you, to look at them and meet their needs and love them just like you would do yourself. And so naturally, if you are depressed or you are in a situation where you just don't love yourself, then no, you're not going to extend that to someone else until you take care of yourself first.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be miserable in yourself, in your relationship, and whatever, and expect to be able to have what you need to show love to somebody.
Yep.
For sure.
Well, gang, I think our time's up. So
we have so much more to say.
We do. We do. But
it's a multifaceted topic of conversation.
It is. Our next episode will probably be about the same thing.
Oh, okay.
It'll be about anything. I think Andy's got something he wants to ask a question on our next episode, which I thought was pretty unique. I never thought about it, but he'll remember here shortly before we come back, I'm sure. All right. Well, I'm your host, Greg Steinke, and Life's a Story podcast with my wife, Dina, Andy, and Stephanie.
See you later.
Bye.
And where everyone has a story worth telling. Thanks for listening.